The adventurous spirit is a wonderful thing, a thing that can elevate one's life to another level. We have a desire as humans to search the unknown and make it known to us, a desire to search and make our own place of comfort more expansive, a desire to adventure.
The book Into the Wild by Jon Krakauer tells the story of Chris McCandless, as well as comparing and contrasting him with other people who have ventured into the wilderness as well as himself. Chris McCandless, son of Walt and Billy McCandless, has always been someone with an adventurous soul. Ever since he was a kid, he preferred going out into nature, not having any external help, and disliked all modern customs of society. After growing up in an abusive household and going off to Emory College, he decided to give away all his money, ditch his apartment in Atlanta, Georgia, and head out on a nomadic odyssey of a lifetime. Chris McCandless was right in saying that nothing is more damaging to the adventurous spirit within a man than a secure future. The very basic core of a man's living spirit is his passion for adventure. Due to adventuring not being as important once security is gained, the enjoyment of security people have, and the stopping of adventuring once the goal is met.
The adventurous spirit within someone dies when they get the security they need to stop adventuring. Why would someone continue along a path past the point of gaining all you can from that path? It's easiest to keep going when you know you can gain from following that path. You usually stop when you've gotten what you want, and with the security of your future, you don't have to worry about anything, so you can't gain much more from adventuring. Chris had this adventurous spirit, and since he never got security for his life, the spirit never died.
When Alex met Franz, he was traveling up the west coast on his way up to Alaska after leaving Bullhead City. He was staying with Franz for a while after being offered some hospitality. Franz saw a resemblance to his dead son within Alex and wanted to adopt him so that he could have a new home and a place to stay where he would be appreciated. Chris left after Franz said that he wanted to adopt him, showing off the self-reliant ideal of his transcendentalism. But he also deemed Franz worthy of keeping his stories safe in the form of his bio belt. Alex isn't the only one who has an adventurous spirit. You can see a spirit that hungers inside many people, a spirit that wants to adventure but doesn't always because of the security.
In many popular games we play, we see adventuring until we meet a goal as a staple of them. If it's Minecraft, it's searching for structures that would help someone along their goal of that game. If it's Sea of Thieves, it's people searching for the buried treasure. If it's Skyrim, then it's a player looking for a new quest or a new item. People love playing games that involve them having to adventure to get an end goal. Sometimes that end goal is slaying a dragon, or getting the best equipment, or collecting all that there is. Whatever the end goal is, once people get it, there isn't much more of a drive to play that game. Many people will start a new Minecraft world or server, and then once they defeat the Ender Dragon, they get the best armor, and then they have somewhat less of a reason to play that game, and then they lose interest. There's a popular phenomenon in the Minecraft community called the 2-week phase, in which people get a motivation to play, but then once they've secured their own future with having everything, they lose some interest. The acquisition of a steady food source, strong gear, and every trophy makes someone lose interest. Once they have the secure future of having everything, they stop trying to keep going. The human adventurous spirit dwindles when it doesn't need to exist to make someone gain from adventuring.
Even if Alex never got full security, he did come close to it with Wayne Westerberg. In Carthage, South Dakota, Alex had a close relationship with Wayne, who was also somewhat of a father figure to Alex at times. Wayne had one of the largest effects on Chris's life when going on his countrywide odyssey. Not only did Wayne provide temporary housing and work to Chris, he also provided a familial feeling that wasn't immediately rejected by Chris. When Chris left, his last postcard was to Wayne. He directed all of his mail to Wayne's inbox, and he even referenced him throughout the book regardless of whether he was actually there or not. Wayne was also the only person that Chris willingly went back to throughout his journey. His willingness to trust Wayne is an example of the transcendentalist ideal of an innate goodness in people and nature.
In our daily lives, we have some certain things that are seen as the dream life, and that's security in our lives. Chris wasn't exactly having the same dream as we would. The average person wants several things: a house, a family, and a way of not fearing if you will be able to make it to the next day. The last one can be summed up to either having a job that provides you with enough money, or having enough money saved up to not worry about it. People want a good job so they can have even less to worry about in life. People typically want to have the security in life that they dream of. So when they get their ultimate goal, they stop looking for a better job. They stop looking for a more affordable home. They stop looking for a way of life that's easier and more beneficial to them. People enjoy the security of knowing that they don't have to worry about if they can put food on the table or heat their home. This security and reason to not take risks that you'd think of adventurous is something that people strive for. People want to not be adventurous. They want their security.
Jan and her husband were rubber tramps who picked up Alex along their way through the country. Jan immediately started pretty much mothering him because instead of seeing him as a grown man, she saw him as just a lost child trying to find his way in the world. Jan was also one of the very few people he kept in touch with via mail, showing her profound impact on his journey. And even though she promised a safe place for Alex to be with the people who cared about him, the transcendental within Chris moved him along his merry way.
Throughout history, we've seen countless adventurers. People who've discovered things, people who've found new resources, and people who've found a new place for others to live. Take some of the more famous adventurers, charting the land and adding maps to new places unknown to most. Chris was an adventurer that wanted to find a new life that he would enjoy. He did find it, but at a cost higher than most would reason with paying. Chris found his new life as an Alexander Supertramp, living in the wilderness of Alaska, and he died having lived what he wanted to. Some adventurers die during their expeditions, and some survive. People usually deem those who come back as having succeeded from their adventure, but Alex was different. His adventure would only be complete if he never returned from it, and in that, he succeeded. He was able to live in the wilderness and die by it too. He got all he wanted from his adventure, and died happy with himself and his life.
All adventures sadly do come to an end, either by success or failure, and Chris managed to do both. The last person he saw was Jim Gallion. Even though he knew Jim for the shortest amount of time, Chris still found it within himself to begrudgingly take the items that Jim gave him just before entering the Stampede Trail. Chris must have liked him enough to even say that he'd come back after 100 days in the wilderness, which can stand as a counter-argument for Chris's ideal that future security of life leads to no longer having motivations and aspirations for the present. Chris's friendship with Jim Gallion, even if just made, was enough for Chris to promise his return.
Even though we may think that Chris was invincible to having his adventurous spirit broken, he wasn't actually invincible. Chris's adventurous spirit was also inhibited by the security of the bus. If he had continued adventuring around the land, he may have found the way across the river and made it back to the safety of society. Since he was bound to the bus by the security it gave him, he was never able to adventure far enough to find the spot where he could cross the river.
In conclusion, throughout Chris's life, from childhood all the way to his death, he was a man of lofty ideals. The topic of this essay, just to restate again, was Chris's thought of nothing is more damaging to the adventurous spirit within a man than a secure future. The very basic core of a man's living spirit is his passion for adventure. We can see that through many examples from the book, Chris generally stayed close to those words and often left behind secure positions for something more on the edge. Though he did make friends and find somewhat of a ragtag family of his own when on the Odyssey, and he did on occasion choose the more secure position, it was more often and more telling of his character that he was indeed a man of itchy feet. Now, we know the philosophy of the statement and how it applies to Chris, but the real question is, how does it apply to us as a society? Do our adventurous spirits die when we gain security in our lives?